And he wasn't chubby.
Huh.
So he wasn't called Porky because he was chubby.
That's what people would expect.
Yeah.
Huh. So some other reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about when you worked at the post office in the store?
Oh, that was very interesting. The post office was, I'd been here about 2 years, and they offered me a job over there. And so I was very, what do you call it, I didn't get out in the community very much. I knew my husband's family, and that was about it. You knew some people by their nicknames coming and going. And so when I went to work there, I was very shy. I had a hard time even speaking to people. Right? But we had one wall of the old brass mailboxes, and you had about 18 inches behind the boxes where you stood to sort mail. And on the wall behind the boxes was this big chart, it was like this big. It was, notebook paper after notebook paper, and it listed all nicknames and who they really were. And then I think it had a reverse directory too for proper names versus nicknames. Because
the mail would come in by their proper names, huh?
Most mail until it was Christmas time. And then if they were greeting cards or Christmas cards, they would come addressed by nickname. So as somebody who didn't actually know people by their proper names, it was quite a learning curve. Yeah, I found out that Ribs was really Thomas. The Rusty was Clyde.
And Jigs was Chris.
Who?
Jigs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Penn.
Who are some others you remember from then that maybe nobody has mentioned to me?
Oh, now Arvy was truly Arvy. That was not a nickname.
Wow.
But Chubby was Phil.
Okay.
That's his brother.
Yeah.
And goodness.
Arvy, A-R-V-Y?
I-E.
Oh, okay.
So his true name might have been a little bit longer. I don't know if it was Arvy or Arvid or something. I'm not sure.
And then you worked at the store for a while too, huh?
Right. Oh, and there were some interesting ones. I don't know how she got it, but Nora James was Bay Bonds.
Yeah, I asked Larry because he's good friends with her and Wheezy and them. And he didn't know how Bay Bonds came to be called Bay Bonds.
I don't know.
Wheezy, of course, was Louise. What about Pepsi Duke?
Oh, well,
who knows?
Duke is truly his name. His proper name is William Duke James.
Okay. And he must have drunk a lot.
He must have just like Pepsi. And when I worked in a store, that's when we still had the glass bottles for Pepsi.
Yeah.
And there was the 12 ounce, the 16, and then your big 32 for like a family. And they were all returnable bottles. And one of the things that surprised me was people would buy, if you were a serious Pepsi drinker, you'd get the 16-ouncer, right?
Just for yourself.
Oh, yeah. And then you would buy a pack, a little 10-cent package or two of Planters peanuts, salted peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you'd bite off the corner, and you would dump the peanuts in the Pepsi and drink it like that. I don't know where that came from, but that's not just LaPush. I think Neabay does that, too.
Okay.
But I haven't seen anybody do that for a long, long time.
And when I used to see Pepsi walking the beach, he wasn't drinking Pepsis.
No.
Okay, so his middle name was Duke, huh?
But an interesting thing about Pepsi was that he always called me Mrs. Dan.
Really?
And that goes back to the old times where you were called, you were a Mrs.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And Mrs. Dan.
That's a good one.
That was my husband's first
name.
Yeah. I just read something that Jay Powell wrote about that.
Oh. I've been reading his pieces in the newsletter. I missed that one. I wonder if that was in March. I can't find the March issue.
I'm not sure if that's where I read it or not, but apparently that's an old-time custom.
Okay. Mrs. Dan, Mrs. Isa?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Good ones. All right. Well, thanks.